Akosia, not her real name, failed 2 core subjects in the West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination WASSCE. She needed money to resit, so she gave in to the advances of a man who in turn infected her with the HIV virus. She's now one of the over 335,000 people living with HIV in Ghana. Akosia has been sharing her story with Faustina Safo in our latest Hotline documentary, My Status. Here are excerpts.
Adolescents and young adults represent a growing share of the number of people living with HIV and AIDS worldwide. According to a UNICEF report, 510,000 young people between the ages of 10 to 24 were newly infected with HIV in 2018 alone. 20-year-old Akosia, as I choose to call her, is one of the over 316,000 students who sat for the 2018 West African Senior School Certificate Examination. Days before the examination, all Form 3 students were asked to assemble at the dining hall. Medical practitioners from a non-governmental organization had come to lecture them on HIV and AIDS. For Akosia, it will be the first time she gets tested.
So after they were done with the talk, they told us to go and test. So I went to test and it was negative. So I was free, I went away.
WASSCE results were finally out, but contrary to expectations, Akosia failed in 2 core subjects and had to resit the exams. Her parents could barely afford her fees the first time. Paying for another was beyond their means. Akosia started her own business selling noodles at night with the hope that she would be able to gather enough money to resit the exams. It was on one of those fateful nights that she met Kofi, a man in his 40s, who offered to help, but at a price.
I had no support, so I was working. That's where I met the man, and he said the way I'm hardworking, he wants to help me. So he guaranteed to pay for my fees, my remedial fee. So he gave me the money to go and register. And later on, he invited me to his house. I went to his house. I didn't know what came, and we had sexual intercourse.
Intergenerational sex occurs when a young woman decides to have intercourse with a man 5 or more years older, and vice versa. Months after their intercourse, Akosia started experiencing unusual symptoms.
I started falling sick here and there. When I go to the hospital, the doctor said nothing was wrong with me. And they don't even give me medicine. Sometimes I'll come to the house, I'll be crying, then be praying. I had an anointing oil. That's what I'll be drinking small.
Doctors told Akosia her symptoms pointed to a stubborn vaginal infection. But even after completing the prescribed dosage, Akosia's condition deteriorated further. Fed up, she decided to do her own research.
I took my phone and I Googled causes of infections. And when I Googled the signs and symptoms, it was different from what I was experiencing. So something came into my mind to search for, let's say, causes of HIV is. So when I searched, it was the same symptoms I was experiencing.
So Akosia decided to get tested again. This time, the results would change her life forever.
I went and it was HIV-1 positive and HIV-2 negative. At first, I wanted to die. I can't sleep at night. I'll be crying the whole day. I'll go and hide at the washroom, then I'll be crying. Like I want to, because even though I'm not all that old, but what I have been through since childhood till now, sometimes I feel say I don't see the essence of me coming to this life.
Very, very disturbing story there. Now, adolescents and young adults represent a growing share of the number of people living with HIV and AIDS in Ghana. Out of the 19,931 new infections recorded in 2018, 16,614 were adolescents and young adults between the ages of 15 and above. Tremetu Ahene, Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, joins us on phone to explain these statistics. Mr. Etiahene, thanks for joining us. Right, okay, so we will be joined by Tremetu Ahene in just a few minutes, but if you notice those statistics there, 16,000 out of a 19,000, that is close to about 80% of the total number of HIV/AIDS infections aged 15 and above. So are the questions about education, are the questions about awareness? We know that funding for HIV/AIDS awareness education in the country rapidly reduced over the years, and as a result, people like Mr. Tremetu Ahene have been working very hard to try and increase the drive. I have here some statistics. 510,000 young people between the ages of 10 and 24 were newly infected with HIV in the year 2018 alone. 510,000. What are the ways that people between this age bracket must be reached? We know that most 15-year-olds are either finishing basic school or they are starting senior high school. So what does that mean for sex education, for instance, at this stage of their education? Do we think that condom distribution should be considered among children like this, or should we be pushing abstinence? My Status is a documentary that explores all of these, and we will be talking to Mr. Treme shortly, but My Status will air at 8:30 p.m. this evening on your JoyNews channel.